Welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live. And if you thought it was heavy yesterday, it's about to get a lot heavier. We're not moving away from that subject. I mean, we'd be stupid not to talk about it. Arsenal are in a pickle and they need to get out of it. Here to discuss it with me tonight are my two co-hosts, Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, how you doing, Kieran? Not too bad. Looking forward to tonight, getting a few things off my chest. Yep.
And of course, it's the voice, aka Jerome Marks. How you doing, Jerome?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
All right. We'll ask you first. What were your thoughts on yesterday's game?
Oh, mate, horrific, wasn't it? One of my mates coined a phrase when we were at school. He got two words muddled up. He got horrific and atrocious, and his new word was ferocious. Combination of the both. Like he said it, he didn't mean to say it like that, but that's how it came out. And that's the perfect combination to describe last night. Absolutely horrific and atrocious. Ferocious.
Yeah.
There's so many sort of talking points from last night in terms of individual incidents, performance of individual players, performance of the team, substitutions, you name decisions, you name it. You can talk about it, but overall, to go to Everton and perform like that and come away with a defeat, terrible. You know, you'd probably take, if you could take a win and not really play so well, all right, we take that. But to have both, to play poorly and lose to a team that I don't think has won since September, like that's terrible. So all of a sudden, a few weeks ago when things were looking quite good, now it looks very much the opposite, and the pressure could potentially build on the manager. Maybe not from internally, but certainly from, I think, the fans.
Yeah, it seems that way, but I wouldn't. I'd say online is a completely different animal to actually in the stadiums. I think it will take a lot more to get them properly upset the way they have online. But yeah, all right. Let's welcome some of the comments so far. How you doing, Russ? Nice to see you in here today. 100%, mate. It was a disgusting performance. Yep. All right, let's go. Let's get on to this. So, plenty to talk about. First of all, not an excuse, but a talking point yesterday. Yeah. Ben Godfrey, Lascelles, James MacArthur, all players that should not have been on the pitch after what I would see is quite blatant incidents. Steve, what was your thoughts on Godfrey's first foul and how potentially he didn't get even a yellow for that?
What can you say? What can you say about that? We've got VAR in. It's always possible that referee can miss things. The game's so fast nowadays, and things like what we see with Godfrey on Tommy Ashu, you can miss those things. And that's why we've brought in VAR. Now, firstly, the geezer's out of order. He has had no intentions of playing the ball. He's just gone for his face. Simple as that. And I've actually, if the referee and the VAR, have done any homework, this guy has done it time and time again. I knew that when he did it. The first thing I said, he's done it again. He's done it again. Now, how don't the referee and the VAR have these type of things written down? But that's another question. That's for another day. That's just in depth, atrocious planning, whatever you want to call it, from officials. That is something else that I can't work out, that I can work out and see, but they can't. But how that's gone upstairs to VAR, and they've looked at that frame by frame, by frame, and then still come to the conclusion that I assume that he's just done it by accident is ridiculous. And it just goes to prove to me that we've got poor officials in this league. And when I watch Champions League every week, which I love to do and which I enjoy to do, the referees and they're different class, they're of a different league, and he would have been off for that. Awful. He should not have been on the pitch.
Yeah, it was. Look, the thing that I don't understand here from what the referee, because did the referee get called over to have a look at it? I thought he did. That Mandela effect. I don't know what happened there. I'm sure he did, but obviously he didn't. He's put his foot down. He's not even lost balance, and then he picks his foot up again and scrapes it across Tomiyasu's face. I don't understand it. I do not get it. Jerome, what was your feeling when you first saw it?
Oh, it's terrible. Firstly, that is so dangerous. I mean, I know, like, obviously we've all played, and I'm sure people watching have played football. If you're on the ground and someone sticks their stud onto you, on TV it looks bad, but in the flesh, that is horrible. And I think it probably made no difference at all. But Tomiyasu is one of those players, it seems. I know he hasn't been at us for long, but he seems like a very disciplined player, and he didn't make a meal of it. If that happened to someone else in the league, someone that's a bit more perhaps of a volatile player, it could have got a bit nasty. But Tomiyasu has maybe sort of, I don't know if he's given him the benefit of the doubt, but he hasn't really made a meal of it. But I honestly, look, I know obviously we might be biased, but there's a few fouls that have happened to Arsenal players that they just seem like incredible. And how, Steve's right, how VAR didn't look at that and think that that's a very dangerous, nasty challenge. People, you know where your foot is. You can plant your foot in a different position if you want to. It's terrible. It's terrible that people are getting away with very dangerous, intentional challenges and not getting punished for it. And it'll only happen again. There'll be another incident in a few games' time where it'll be like, how's that gone unpunished? But unfortunately, like, the precedent's been set. You can get away with it.
Well,
and I think Arteta, the players, how they're not making a big deal of this. Like, if I was Arteta, I'd be making a big old deal of that. Like, because they obviously have screens, don't they, in the dugouts? They can see what's gone on. Like, they got to stand up for themselves a bit more.
Yeah. That wasn't the only one. There was this one as well, which I'm stunned. I'm stunned how that's not a yellow card. How is that not a yellow card? Like, this is what I don't understand. We asked for continuity, like we asked for consistency, and the only way this is going to happen is when someone gets their leg broken. It happened with Arsenal before, and because Arsenal have a reputation of being soft. Yeah, other teams that are not technically as good as us or tactically as good as us, they will do these things to gain a momentum in the team, to roll up their fans, to stop us from getting involved in the 50-50s. Yeah, this happened previously, and clubs kept on hacking us down, injuring our players and whatnot. And the only way it stopped was by two of our players getting broken legs, Aaron Ramsey and Eduardo. Both of those players that done that on those two players, basically near enough ruined their careers. Yeah, Eduardo never came back the same, and Ramsey never came back the same. Yeah, and they both intentionally went in extra hard. They may turn around and say, "Oh no, we were just going for the ball," but they didn't. They know themselves. They both intentionally went extra hard to make sure they left something on the player. And the only way this is going to stop again is by someone breaking their leg. So the referees need to sort it out. And once again, this is not an excuse for last night. This is a pattern that is happening with Arsenal players where they're getting targeted to get hacked down. The only way they can stop Saka is by hacking him down. The only way they're stopping Tavares is by hacking him down. You can't. Like, the referees need to look after these players before someone gets seriously hurt. Andre Mariner and Mike Dean, they're the two. They're the two that like it a bit rough and ready. They're like they're refereeing a Sunday league game. This is Premier League, boys. Do you know what I mean? Come on, sort it out. All right. Let's get on to more pressing stuff. See, my thought process after thinking about the game yesterday, after seeing games previously, is that I think that this Arsenal team, and I saw a few accounts today talking about how we can't say about this as a young team, but you can, because it doesn't go from this is a young team from before when they're on this run and talk about when we're on a good run and we talk about how we're going to have dips in form and lack of self-confidence and self-belief. And then when it actually comes to it, you're turning around and saying we can't talk about that this is a young team. Well, we can. Because I think, going back and looking at it, that Arsenal are more damaged by the Liverpool game than we thought. After the Liverpool game, we stumbled into a win against Newcastle. First half was poor against Newcastle. Second half, we were a lot better. Then we came off the back of that and lost to Man United in a game where we should have done better and we should have got points because Man United weren't great that day. Then we have this game against Everton where we kind of trepid, as you could say, where we're playing scared. We're not really going for it. We're not really taking any risks, and this is what you get. So Mikel Arteta has in my opinion, has a massive job of picking these players up and having them believe themselves, because they already didn't when it came to taking that lead and sitting back in the first place. What's your thoughts, Steve? What's your thoughts on why Arsenal, not just yesterday, there seems to be a pattern, and it seems like it was going away and we was getting some nice bit of play. We're starting to get a bit confident, but when we take that 1-0 lead, we take a lead, we sit, and yeah, what's your thoughts?
Well, I think I said yesterday, I don't think there's much wrong with Arsenal at all. After sort of doing what you did and sitting down and, you know, sort of analysing it properly, where we are, where our players are, I came to the conclusion that there's not a lot wrong. I looked at the games that we've been playing recently. I've looked at why we've lost them. I've looked at the squad. I've looked at the team. I've looked at, you know, other teams in the league, and we're sitting 7th in the moment. And I've come to the conclusion that's about where we should be at this moment in time. So that made me feel a bit better, the fact that we're sitting 7th, and I think we are 7th. I think we're around about the 7th best in the league at the moment, give or take. You know, you've got Man City, you've got Man United and Tottenham above us. West Ham are just having one of those unbelievable seasons, which seems to happen with one club every season. But Man City and Tottenham, okay, they're in front of us at the moment, and they will argue that they've got a better squad than us, and those sides will argue that they're better than us, and they may very well have a point. But going back to reasons why, as I said right at the beginning of this, I don't think that there's a lot wrong, but I do think there's an awful lot wrong with what's going on up top. And when I look at past games, even games that we've won, those offensive players are just not doing what their job, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Even yesterday, and as much as the aftermath was so damning, and there were so many people online, you know, ripping Arsenal to pieces, I still can't really say that Ramsdale had a bad game. I can't say the defenders had a bad game. You know, I can't. The midfield would, you know, could have been better. You know, but we had Xhaka back from an injury for the first time. He should have been taken off after 60 minutes. That was obvious. Maybe they should have brought him back slowly. That could obviously be something that we can blame Mikel Arteta for. We all know there's something seriously wrong with Thomas Partey at the moment. But we all know that up front, there's a big problem. And I think that's what's causing Arsenal our problems. And you do see these people online and you do see them saying, Arteta this, so-and-so this, so-and-so that. The one thing you never see a reason. You never see their point. It's just Arteta out, he's crap, he's rubbish. If you ask them why, you wouldn't get a reply back. Yeah, because it's just this thing that's embedded in them. You know, that they'll bring out after 10 games unbeaten, and then Arteta will lose one, and then they'll all come out of the cupboard and, I told you about Arteta. You know, and this is what we're talking about on a balance. But the thing is, Kiel, you're never going to get that balance with them people, because them people can never be spoken to. You know, they're not logical people. These are people who are not knowledgeable of football. They've just got this view of hate for their manager or hate for certain players. You're never going to get that. But going back to like what's wrong and what I thought was wrong, I don't think there's a lot wrong. And I think, which I'm sure we'll go into later, is the forwards. And apart from the forwards, the offensive areas, I'm quite happy with everything else. But if that offensive area is not working, then the midfield and the defence are going to have problems during a game. You can't play with 7 men. Yeah, otherwise, your question was, how comes when we score that, you know, all of a sudden, you know, we're sitting back and the pressure's been put on us? Well, the reason why that is, Keys, is because our forwards, right, are not doing their jobs. They're not doing their pressing. You know, we've seen that game after game. They can't run. They're, you know, bless them, they're getting on a bit now. And they're breaking through to our midfield. And, you know, every time a goal score against a team, the other side always is going to come out and attack you more because they've just gone one down. That's just logical football. We all know that's what happens in football, whatever league you're playing in. So those forwards have got to be on it. They've got to start doing their defending. But Arsenal's don't. They've not got the legs. They don't defend. They don't close down. Hence, they get straight into our midfield very, very quickly, and they get straight up to the forward lines very, very quickly. Hence, that we're always under so much pressure all the time. Until we get that forward line, until we get them pressing, until we get those 3 or 4 players up front sorted out, this is something that we're going to see, and something that Arsenal fans, I feel, until then, we're going to have to get used to.
Yeah. That is a massive problem. Jerome, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, yeah, he came on at the 86th minute, but before that, Eddie Nketiah was brought on, and Lacazette was non-existent in a game where he spent probably about 80% of the time in central midfield. What's going on? What's going on? There's something on there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think Lacazette, I mean, for me, when Lacazette plays up front, and to be honest, even when Aubameyang plays up front, it's like Arsenal are playing with 10 men. It's like we've got our defensive midfield and we haven't got anyone up front. Yeah, you're right. Lacazette was dropping so deep, but we've got 4 midfield. You know, we've got 5 players in midfield, you could say, with the wingers. What are you coming deep for? Because if he comes deep, he hasn't got the legs to then go and get in the box, has he? You can't. Yeah. You could see it happen a couple of times where he drops deep, and you're watching the TV, looking at like their defense, thinking, oh, there's no one there. Like, what? How are we going to attack this defense if we got no one in attack? To be honest with you, Aubameyang coming on after Nketiah, look, it's not as if Aubameyang's been playing brilliantly, is it? It's not as if he's been playing so well, he wouldn't have been sub. He'd have started the game. And to be fair to Nketiah, I know he missed that unbelievable sitter, but at least he had something about him when he came on. I know he's not going to be there next season, but I thought he didn't play too bad when he came on. He created a couple of chances, done very well near the end when Aubameyang missed that shot, literally the last.
Think he should have done better at Aubameyang there?
He didn't exactly go 1 inch wide of the post, did it? It went quite wide.
No, I know there weren't much power in it either.
No, you can say like he's obviously only just come on. He's been on the pitch for 10 minutes, say, but look, like I think I said the other week on the show, like these strikers are finished. Like they're not the strikers of a top 4, top 5 club in the Premier League. Like Lacazette, I'll be very interested to see where he goes, because if he was available on a free transfer, I wouldn't want to sign him. What does he bring to your team? What does Lacazette bring to the team? Like I don't know what he does. I don't know what he does. What's he there for? To link the play. He might do 5 or 6 passes in the game to some of his teammates. Other than that, he's non-existent.
Yeah, I agree. I remember when he went when it played at number 10 earlier in the season, maybe near the end last season, and the amount of people that came out the woodwork and said, "What are you talking about? Lacazette plays number 10. He used to play with number 10 all the time. He's number 10. He can play number 10." No, he can't. No, he can't. He can do a job here and there, not back to back, week in, week out. That's not his role. He's a striker, but now he's just going through the motions, it seems like.
Yeah. What happened is he wasn't playing at the start of the season. He came in, I guess he maybe thought he had a point to prove. He put in quite a bit of effort, got the fans on his side. Well, the fans were calling for him to start with Aubameyang, and
he did.
Now he's done okay initially, and now it's just the same old. And I tell you what, look, obviously Aubameyang's not doing well at the moment. He's probably in the worst form you could say of his career. But when he goes off to the African nations, if we've just got Lacazette and Nketiah as our strikers, there's not too many games. There's not like 10 Premier League games that they'll miss.
2 or 3 in it.
But I think there's both for the if we get through to the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, both of those games, probably FA Cup games.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not like, they're back, is it? It won't be like that, will it? Oh, they're back from AFCON. Hey, great.
No, and with Aubameyang, Steve, does it even feel like he's going to pull this form out? Like, is there anything that you're seeing from him that's making you think, do you know what? It's just round the corner.
No, there isn't. There's nothing I'm seeing at all of any note of anything that tells me that I'll come and let's keep playing him. Eventually he'll find his form, and eventually he'll start scoring goals again. Which, look, let's face it, he's only 32. And he's still, he still should really have a good 2-3 years of him. I mean, footballers with pace like Aubameyang normally, find some other way of how to play him. And that's why I think, Kieran, your view and on what you think, when you said there's something going on behind the scenes with him, because I can't put my finger on what it is, because he's lost everything. He's not bothered, and he's lost his pace. His shooting's off, his confidence gone. And there's just nothing there. There's nothing there. I want to try and find something. And when you think of how he was, it's just like incredible. Where he was and where he is now. I just can't see him. I can't see him getting back to the way he was. Not by a long way.
Yeah, I think you just said something there. He doesn't. I can't remember. But it's hunger. I was going to say, he lacks hunger. And I just see Glenn 10 popped up. It says his body language makes me believe he's accepted it, especially after the shot yesterday. I don't think he's coming back. Like, it's true. Another one he said. What's your thoughts on this, Jerome? Our pressing never seems proactive. It's always like reactive. Like Martinelli will press, and the next man will watch, and then think, "Oh yeah, I've got to press now."
It's like ad hoc, isn't it? It's like
ad hoc.
I'll go. I'll go.
Is that a tactic, or do you think that's just
age?
They're not doing it?
If it's a tactic, it's one that's not very clever. It's not working at all, is it? But I think you said this word at the beginning, like a few minutes ago, Kieran. I just think there's not a lot of belief in this side. I don't think they turn up thinking that they're better than the other team. I think they turn up every game thinking, "Oh, this is a hard game. This is going to be." And so when they do go one up, they're a bit scared, and they don't sort of put their foot on the pedal and really go for it. They're a bit cautious, and I don't think there's a lot of belief in the team. Difference is when you're playing like the Spurs game, when you got the crowd all up for it, amazing atmosphere. These are like one-off games.
Yeah.
But when you're playing either away from home or on a Saturday at 3:00, when the atmosphere isn't so great, you don't have that little bit of extra that can help the players. And I think, but with Aubameyang, it's I had a play in my mind now that I'm comparing this sort of situation to. You're not going to like it at all. But Willian, all of a sudden, he was just like a different player, and
weird.
That was it. Now I'm not saying that Aubameyang is exactly the same situation as Willian, but there's a few similarities there. I was listening to something Micah Richards said the other day on Sky, and mentioning about when he got his first big contract when he was very young, when he was 19. He went, I think, from $5,000 a week to $50,000 a week, and he just said, like, straight away from that, like, you lose a little bit of hunger. And I know Aubameyang's had big contracts in his career, just he's obviously been paid very well, but maybe that's had something to do with it as well.
I mean, you can't blame people for thinking that, because like, it's even early doors when he'd signed that contract and he stopped scoring. People were like, "Oh, he signed the contract. He's not doing it now." It's like, nah, get out of it. Nah. But it was at the same time. Again, I'm not saying that it was that, but you cannot blame people for having that argument, because he's just not turned it on. And it's not just this year. Can you read anything into it from last year, Steve? Or would you have to put that down as a separate, isolated incident where the malaria, his mum not being well?
Yeah.
You isolate that one?
Yeah. I mean, I gave him a free ride last year. After all what he went through, and again, even then, he scored. He scored a few goals. I mean, he didn't score Aubameyang type amount of goals, 30s and 35s, but I think he got 18, something like, something on them lines, for the whole season, which we all thought was bad. But God, I'd pray that he'd get 18 this season now, wouldn't you? For so
that's not a good place to be, though, is it?
No, but it's, I've seen Arsenal play, and I think, like, there's been times when Aubameyang's played well or Lacazette's played well, and Arsenal have gone and smashed Leicester, smashed Villa, and done Spurs. We've beat some good teams. We've played well in times this season. Do you know what I mean? We was all gutted against Man United because we thought we had them. Do you know what I mean? If it wasn't for mistakes, I felt gutted because I thought we could have won that game. If it wasn't for a couple of silly decisions or a couple of silly mistakes. But it seems to always go back to the two strikers and that they're not helping out the rest. I mean, I don't think that the rest. I think the rest of the side are a confident side. I reckon Arteta. I think Arteta's got the rest of them on board. I genuinely think he has. I think I'd say 80% of that team of the 11 or 80% of the squad are on board with Arteta, and they go out there and they feel they can beat anybody. Yeah, I think our defence think that they can match anybody. I've seen our defence play as good as anybody on the day. You know, I've seen Saka and Smith Rowe be as good as anybody. I've seen Odegaard do things at times where I'm like, wow. You know, so Arteta must be doing something right. Yeah. And it seems to be a very small percentage of the side that are just not getting it for me. Yeah. And there seems to be a very small pocketed, group of fans who are just not getting it. You know, when you look at 9 players and you're over the moon with them and you think, yeah, they're great, they're brilliant, they're great. And then 2 of them are not doing it. And you're coming on week after week and you're having a go at them, missing chances, we're scoring no goals. That can't be that can't be a manager. That's not a manager. When 80% of the rest of the squad are all on board and we're all happy with what they're doing. You know, that's not a manager. If you think that's a manager, you've got problems. You know, that's not a manager. If you was looking at a whole team like at Manchester United a little while ago, we looked at them. Yeah, the whole team was just disjointed. They didn't know where they was doing, what they was going. All of them would just look like a disaster, didn't they? And so people can turn around and say, yeah, that's Ollie. That's a manager. They just can't do it. That's not the case with Arsenal. You know, so people do have to think of that. You know, if we were saying, oh, the defence is rubbish and this is rubbish and that's rubbish and then Smith Rowe rubbish, the goalkeeper's useless. Oh, they don't look like they want it. But that's not the case. It's just a small section of an area of Arsenal that are just not getting it, and we all know where that area is. But going back to Aubameyang, I just can't see him we seriously need someone in January. And obviously with what I do week in, week out, I'm still not really seeing it. And that's any rumours or big rumours of someone coming, which is a little bit worrying. But Aubameyang, we only think keep our fingers crossed. But personally, no, I don't think we'll see the best of again. I pray that we do, but if you lose pace, you lose pace. You don't get pace back. You don't come back. Once it's gone, it's gone. Unless you can adapt your game to something else. And it doesn't look like he can adapt his game to something else from what we've seen over this season.
He scored 10 goals in the Premier League last season.
Was it 10? Jesus.
Yeah, which makes worse reading for me. It's not picked up at all this season.
Can I tell you just one very, very quick thing that I think doesn't help, which I think is a bit of a unique situation. Forget about all their ability, what they can do on the pitch in terms of our strikers, Lacazette, Aubameyang, and Nketiah. But we're in a very unique situation whereby our 3, you can call them main central strikers, we know that in 2 years, like none of them will be there.
Yeah.
And normally when it comes to any players on the pitch, the sort of either whatever type of player you've got in the team, but especially with the strikers, normally they're not in the position where you know that they're going to be off. Normally what happens is either someone will come in with a bid for one of them. Not the case where all their contracts are just running down. And I don't think that helps the situation at all, mentally more than psychologically more than anything else. It's a ridiculous position that the club has put itself in, knowing that those 3 centre forwards aren't going to be there.
Yeah. I'm just not sure they had the foresight to see Aubameyang's ridiculously poor form, and I don't think any of us did. As Steve was saying, it was potentially everyone thought it was a one-off last season. Those are situations, unique circumstances, all in one season. Like I said before, all that together is enough to drain a player to not even want to have to kick a ball, to just not have that same bounce in his step when he's playing. Like freedom of mind to go and play football and enjoy yourself. And we know that Bamyang's a player that likes to play with a smile on his face. He's not doing that anymore. He's not doing it. Like he came on the other day. He looked drained. He looked like this is the captain of our team. He's meant to be an inspiration to the youngsters. Like I'm not inspired by that. I'm not. I'm not looking at of all those players on the pitch. I'm not looking at Aubameyang and thinking this is the guy. Now that's not going to help any position on the pitch. That's not going to help our midfielders, our forward winger players when they're looking and you've got Lacazette standing next to you, next to Xhaka and Thomas Partey, and you've got Aubameyang when he comes on the pitch. You're looking and thinking, he ain't on it today. He ain't scoring. You've already seen him hit the post, put it wide from an open goal. It's Arsenal in a serious situation that they need to fix up. A couple of other players that, well, one featured, one didn't. We'll first talk about the one that didn't feature. Another player, Nicolas Pepe. Now, although Nicolas Pepe divides opinions, we know that he's loose with the ball sometimes, to say the least. But you can't argue that on paper his stats says he scores goals. Would that not be in the manager's fault to bring on Pepe in the last minutes of some of these games? And he's just been completely dismissed. What's your thought on that, Steve? Is Pepe's career at Arsenal finished?
I think it's time to bring him back. Not just to start, bring him off the bench. I think we all know Pepe on his day can be. We use the word quite a lot when we mention Nicolas Pepe, and that's on his day he can be unplayable. And on another day he can, he could look like Jane Torvey or Christopher Dean and just falling all over the place. He's just there's no happy medium with Nicolas Pepe. But on his day he's an incredible footballer. We see it in France. We've seen it quite a few times at Arsenal. And when you put the two together, Aubameyang and Nicolas Pepe, and you put the two together and now at this minute, and you're thinking, right, who am I going to play the weekend? Again, to me, it's a no-brainer. I hope he don't go. I want to see him back soon. I want to see him back playing again. He may be getting a short, sharp shock off of Mikel Arteta, and that's why he's been out the side. And he ain't being brought on. I hope it ain't because he's leaving in January or something like that, because I don't want him to go, because I know what he can produce. I'd agree with you, mate. I think it's time to bring him back in. And I think it's time to bring him back in the starting 11 and to show Mikel Arteta, not so much us, because we know what he can do, because we've seen it. We know that when he gets the ball, he's one of these players you sit up. Yeah. You might end up sitting down and think, oh, he's fell over again. Right. But there might be a time you will sit seriously though. You'll sit up. You'll sit up and you'll think he's going to bend this in the top corner. He's going to go round two players. He's going to slip it through someone's legs. And having someone like Pepe on one side and Odegaard working around on the other, with someone like, say, Martinelli down the middle, maybe that's something we've got to do for the now, for the weekend and leading up through Christmas and then going into January. And then, even with Pepe, Martinelli, and even if they're doing the business, we still need one, if not two strikers in January. Definitely one in January. But yeah, I think it's time to bring him back, mate. Literally put him in the weekend starting.
What's your thoughts on Nicolas Pepe, Jerome? Time to give it another chance?
Mate, I don't. No. Pepe's not for me. He's far too inconsistent for me, and the fact that he's he's been on the bench the last 5 games and hasn't come on at all. It's either one of two things. He's either not in the manager's plans at all, or he's trying to, or the manager's, I don't know, trying to get him, rile him up a bit, or make him hungry, perhaps. But I can't see how he's got a future at Arsenal, and not under Arteta anyway. Not if there's a manager that doesn't bring you on in the last 5 games, when obviously 2 of those games you needed a goal near the end of the game. Like, he would probably be the first person that most people would think of bringing on, and the fact that you're bringing on Nketiah ahead of him, like, that's on the wing. Nah,
damning.
Yeah, that's not a good look at all.
Yeah,
it's a shame. Like, it's a massive shame, because he came, like, everyone was buzzing when he came, but it just hasn't worked out. And I think they just need to cut their very big losses on Pepe.
I'm a 5'4" short white guy who has dodgy knees and no stamina. I reckon Nketiah and Abba can't get past me, and I'll sneak up behind a statue of Party and nick the ball off him. Bloody hell, Craig. Don't mince your words. Can Pepe be any worse than Aubameyang? Because when Aubameyang starts, it's like playing with 10 men. Jerome said that. Yeah. Can Pepe be worse than Aubameyang, Steve?
No, how can he be worse? How can he be worse than Aubameyang at the moment? He ain't done nothing. He misses sitters every week. You can't get no worse than that. You know, you could put me up front. I wouldn't be no worse than that. I'd score a couple of them. And that ain't no joke either. That's not a joke. It's not even like, and I ain't even laughing. Do you know what I mean? That's not a joke. I know I would put them away. And like, it's terrible. And yeah, if you're looking at, if you're going on, I understand what Jerome said, because we've seen him, and you know, and I even said he was running out of games. But you know, desperate times sometimes means for desperate things.
I think we are desperate. We are desperate.
You have to try things that you thought that maybe you would never go back to. And at the moment, we would never think that Aubameyang could be worse than what Pepe had been. But now we're saying, well, no, it's you know, the tables have turned now. Aubameyang is worse than Pepe. So surely we've got to give him at least give him a go, give him a chance, just to see if who's worse. Is he worse than Lacazette? He ain't worse than Lacazette, is he? You know, I mean, this is a centre forward who don't get in the box. That's good, isn't it? That's what we need, isn't it? You know, to get into Europe, a centre forward who don't go in the box. I mean, and a number 10 for me is laughable. I mean,
sorry.
Yeah.
Go on, here's a conspiracy theory for you.
Oh yeah.
Pepe has a clause in his contract where Arsenal to pay Lille another 10 mil should he make another 5 appearances in 2021.
Ooh, oh, that's it. That's why. Tight bastard.
Are we reading anything into that?
God, stranger things have happened. I wouldn't. Nothing's with all contracts these days. There's probably so many clauses and so much put in there. Like, possibly, I don't know. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to see Pepe's contract, I don't have access to it, so I'm not too sure.
Yeah, well,
they probably paid about a tenner on it.
I've seen clubs do it. So I wouldn't put it past Arsenal.
Would you play him, Kiss? What about you? Would you play him?
Would I play Pepe?
Yeah.
I'll play Pepe. Yeah, I'll bloody play Pepe. Because Saka came on injured against Man. Not injured. Saka came on after an injury against Man United, and okay, he did a few bits, but nothing out of this world. Nothing, no more, no less than Pepe could do. And Nketiah came on, and again, it wasn't awful, missed a sitter, but he tried and he created some stuff. But I think you'll get more out of Pepe. I think you'll get more shots. I think you'll get. I mean, he'll lose the ball, but he's trying. He's trying. Like I just look at I just look at Aubameyang, and I see a shell of a player. I see he looks. I just feel like he doesn't want to be here, and whether that's the manager, I don't care. Like, he's the manager, so you just got to get on with it. Like, if I'm at a club and there's a manager there that I don't quite get on with, I leave, or I just have to stick it out. It's it. You just got to suck it up and play. Like, your reputation is diminishing. Like, how can you do an Henri celebration? Yeah, that you had the brass balls to do an Henri celebration. Yeah, and you scored 10 goals last season, and you scored 4 goals this season. That's embarrassing. Like, that's shameful. Like, don't ever do iconic celebrations when you're not backing it up, mate. That's it.
Not even the Sue. Not even the Sue.
Sorry, he's not backing it up. No, he dare do a Sue. Don't do a Sue. Geese scored 800 goals. I know you know about that, Abba, because you made sure you liked that post within minutes of it dropping. You made sure you got in there.
Forgot about that.
You made sure. Don't worry about that. And I wouldn't put it past Mikel Arteta dropping him for that as well, because that is not. That's not what a captain does. I don't know what anyone wants to say. I don't care what anyone says. Captains don't do that. You don't do that. I said it in my post before. As a captain, you got to make sacrifices. And if liking a post from Cristiano Ronaldo, who ain't even going to know you've liked it, is one of them sacrifices, well, so be it. You get paid 350 grand a week for the pleasure of it, mate. Just suck it up and deal with it. Find his agent, send him a private message. You didn't have to do it online. You knew what you was doing, mate. Like, that's it. I'm trying to find some good notes, this man had 76 touches, 4 key passes. His name was Martin Odegaard. Are we starting to see a Martin Odegaard that we're all hoping to see? A Martin Odegaard now starting to get a couple of goals, pegging in with a couple of key passes. Jerome, do you think this is the start of Martin Odegaard's Arsenal career?
I'm not convinced, and the reason I'm not convinced is, like I said the other week, is because I think we're not going to see the best of him until he's got some really good strikers to work with, or a great striker to work with. That's the fact. I mean, can you see Odegaard really linking up well with Lacazette?
No, like, but this comes down to strikers again. This is what I'm saying.
This is what I'm saying. Odegaard, a lot of other. It's like when Ozil played with Ronaldo. How many assists did Ozil get in Madrid because he was playing with like an unbelievable world-class striker? Yeah, and that made him look not made him look a better player, but it helped the image of Ozil. Mm-hmm. If a player like an Odegaard, he thrives off of having that central striker. He doesn't thrive off of playing with a central midfielder, like
or a striker that's pretending.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing's going to happen in that bit. He's all about the sort of the final pass. Look, popping up with goals recently, excellent. That's really good, and it's great to see, and it's a good percentage of his game that is well needed. But a bigger percentage, or an equally important percentage, is the work that he does with the centre forward. Because when he picks up the ball, Odegaard, he's looking forward, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's
always looking forward.
He's looking
very
forward.
Progressive.
So that's where it comes into play with the forward. I thought, we haven't. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I was going to bring up Martinelli recently because he was a bit quiet yesterday. But,
go on. You can say it. I'll go back to Stephen Odegaard. Yeah.
No, I would have liked to see, like, because on paper, sort of Odegaard working with Martinelli seems quite good, but he didn't. He was a bit quiet yesterday, Martinelli.
Yeah, I think Martinelli just needs games and to get more understand the players around him. There was a couple of times that I've seen Martinelli do good. I've seen what Martinelli can do. I think there's a lot more to come from him, but I think he needs to be a bit like he's a lot of energy, power, pace. Sometimes you just need to you need that bit of Brazilian in him. Just like he was running through yesterday, and there was an opportunity where he ran through, done a 1-2 with someone, and he could have just done a back heel, and it would have dropped into the area to that player. But he took it to the byline because it was just the running forward, take on the player, kick to the byline, and try and cut it back. I think he needs to have a little bit more cuteness, a bit like Tavares, a bit like Tavares shows it. He done it the other day for Saka's goal. Lovely little turn in the box. I want to see more of that. That's what I want to see more of. Not everything has to be running through players or running. I want to see a bit more of that. And they've got it. They're young. So it's just about learning who you've got around you, learning the moves and the positions these players are going to be in. But they need more games for that. So I think that will come with Martinelli. We've seen what Tavares can do. And he's got a good... What I like about Tavares and Tini is they're competition for each other. I think GT Talk said the other day that Tavares came in as a backup, but I don't think he's right there. He's right in that he came as a backup, but I don't think it should stand as, even if you come in as a backup and you show your worth that you're a first team player, then you're a first team player competition now. You're not a backup. Because then players can get complacent if they feel that their place is safe and that you're the backup. So when I come back, I'm taking my spot. No, I don't think you can. I think that's a dangerous place to go. And I think players should definitely be on their toes with that. Steve, Odegaard, do you think this is the start of his Arsenal career now? He's starting to get games, get the trust of the manager, starting to see a couple of goals from him.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in bits and pieces since he came to the club, didn't he? I mean, when he came last season, I mean, I think the majority of Arsenal supporters were gutted. I was, that he was leaving and he went back there. Mm-hmm. And we see it then. But this season, especially the last, say, 5-6 games, he's really starting to come into his own. He looks at home now on that football pitch. He looks part of the team. For me, he starts every week now, without any shadow of a doubt. He's always wanting the ball. He's hungry. I thought he was our best player against Everton, and I agree with what Jerome said about the players like Odegaard. They obviously need, the forwards to be, on their game as well, because it takes a lot away from not only Odegaard but Smith Rowe as well when he's on the pitch. So, but the good thing about Odegaard as well, again, you've mentioned about the goals. He sort of, especially yesterday, he starts to take. He grabs hold of the game. He takes hold of the game. I could see it firstly against Watford when he come on. He was like, you could see, if you could read into his mind, it was like, right, this is my pitch. That is my ball. I am going to go and get there. I'm going to take it. I'm going to score. And that's how I see him now, And it was like Lacazette was a waste of space last night. So Odegaard's took up the mantle. And, he was the one who was getting in the box. He was the one who scored the goal. He was the one who thought, well, I can't pass it to you because it's a waste of time. I can get further. You're dropping into my position. I'm finding you next to me. What are you doing next to me? So he was the one that seems to be getting forward. He's scoring more goals now. He's so cultured on the ball. He's got so much ability. And, we all, Erling Haaland, we've heard him say, he would love to play with Odegaard one day. Loves playing with him again for Norway. Thinks he's one of the best midfield players on the planet. He's probably going a bit over the top at the moment because of his age. But, there are words from him. Top striker like that. And I just think Odegaard's just going to get better and better and better and better. And it's just another thing that Arsenal fans, or we want, we want to see, one or two strikers now, because then I think, will I be going to? No, I don't think I am. He could be world class. He could with the right centre forwards. He could be that good. He really could be that good.
And go on.
No, go on.
No, I was just going to say, it's not just it's not just this game or the last game where you've seen him get into more striking positions, because not only was it the in this game where he got a goal, but he also had a chance. I think one chance blocked, where he could have had another opportunity to get a goal. Amon had that shot which was going in, and then Aubameyang took it from him as well. Where that's another opportunity where he could have got a goal there. So yeah, it does feel like he's trying to make more goal scoring opportunities for himself, and he's just in and around the area, which is good. As for Haaland's comments, Steve, so are you telling me there's a chance that Haaland could be coming to Arsenal? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Steve? Is that what you're trying to tell me, Steve?
No, right. I can't say that, mate.
Ruin it.
How I'd wish. Do you know what the thing is? 10 years ago, we would have been in the question. We would have been, we would have been in the fight for players like that. But we're just not in the fight anymore, and that's sad. And what's also very worrying, and we spent 150 mil last summer, and now we're hearing Arteta saying things like, "Don't expect too much because we spent a lot in the summer." Well, there we go. We're going back about the back end again, aren't we? So if that's true statement, and that really means that the Kroenkes are not back in the club again. So,
well,
that's worrying.
He said in his latest interview, only about a month ago, that they spent 150 million, and that's not the end of it. So I'm gonna sit there and wait until I see, because I wasn't expecting this summer. To be fair, I wasn't expecting 150 million to spend, and I did say we need to do that for another 2 windows. Just before we go, I want to answer some of these questions. I'll save this one till last. How good would it be see Steve rolling out the Emirates playing as a new forward?
Well, Stephen, it was like going back 30 years, maybe so, but I've played at Highbury, and I was an absolute disaster that day. So maybe it's probably better if I don't play at the Emirates.
All right.
Maybe an away game somewhere.
All right. Question for each of you. Russ says, time to cut our losses and rejuvenate our striking position. Steve, 1 striker in January, 1 striker in the summer. You get to choose. I'm going to let you go first, because Jerome's going to take ages to pick his one. So,
realistic, from what I'm hearing.
Whatever you want. Like, I mean, I don't ever feel like you're going to go and turn around and say Neymar and Mbappe. So I'm just going to let you go for it. Jerome, start thinking. Jerome's struggling. I should have sent you this message before the pod.
A couple of weeks ago, you should have said me this.
But next week, you might have been able to answer it.
Well, I know there's 4 strikers that Arsenal have asked about, but out of the 4, the one I would love more than anybody would be Dusan Vlahovic.
In January and in the summer?
In the summer, Patrick Stick.
All right, not two bullies. One with pace as well. I mean, Patrick Stick's got a little bit of pace as well. Good in the air, both of them. I mean, that's a definite.
But possibles. We all know that Arsenal want Vlahovic. That is 100%. They want him. They've asked about him. They've put the money on the table, and it's all down to Vlahovic. But we all know who else is interested in Vlahovic. So we all know where his frame of mind is. So it's unlikely.
Champions League right now. You're having a laugh, Jerome.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you paused there or you were just pretending that your internet had gone, so you didn't have to answer the question.
Yeah. Who would I have? I think someone like a Calvert-Lewin, perhaps, or like Steve said, the guy at Fiorentina. They would be, unless they pull a rabbit out of the hat and they've got someone that's like they've scouted that no one really knows about.
Mhm.
I think they're the sort of strikers we need, like someone like strong but also mobile at the same time.
Mobile but good all-round centre forward.
Yeah. I do like, as you know, that who Steve likes, Karim Adeyemi, but he's not for us, I don't think.
No, I don't think he is for us. It's not that type of player. There has been rumours about Pepe going back to Lille and getting Jonathan David in because of the money and the things and that. Because Jonathan David wanted to sign for us, and he was absolutely and he was absolutely gutted when the deal didn't go through for whatever reason it was.
Yeah.
And so and he's smashing it at the moment. Again, another player who's smashing it. So
I think what I remember, because we did the dispute on Jonathan David as well. And I think one of the things that he said at the time was he wants to go to a club where it would suit him, and potentially France would have been the move. So although he's was gutted that he didn't get his move to Arsenal, I think in his own path that he's sort of set up for himself, he's possibly may have made the right decision with taking that next step into the French leagues to then take the step into the Premier League or Spain. So so eventually he gets to the top if he's good enough, and it's showing that he is actually the real deal. And there could be another import from Canada who could be up there as one of the top strikers in Europe eventually. So we will see. All right. Thank you for joining us tonight, Steve.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us to this therapy session tonight, Jerome.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure.
All right. And thank you for joining us tonight, Russ, Corey, Glenn Ten's in there, of course. Stephen, not seen you in a while. Craig Marks, loving the banter tonight, boys. All right. Thanks for joining us. If you are new to the show, make sure you press that subscribe button. Press that share button so everyone else can see as well. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. Peace out. Stay safe, people. And wash your hands.